Angry guy here, and men would rather play Xbox than get married, and the media won't blame women. Men would rather play Xbox than get married, and the media won't blame women. This is actually something that's happened recently, and we're going to be looking into it. Researchers are finding that men are refusing to get married, but they would rather play Xbox than have a relationship with a woman.
Janice, are you there?
At your service, sir.
Give me some of that dating foolishness.
Will do, sir.
We're seeing more challenges with men. A lot of young men today are not working full time. They're not really kind of fully engaged in their relationships. They're spending too much time on the Xbox. And so there's a kind of a malaise among some young men that also, I think, is part and parcel of why we're seeing this dramatic retreat from marriage unfolding in American life today.
A dramatic retreat from life, and this is we already know this. All right, we were 7 million men have completely dropped out of the workforce. They don't work at all, and millions more are only working as much as they have to survive. This means literally to afford their video games, afford food, and keep a roof over their heads. That's it. So, I mean, it's no shock that men are completely walking away from Western society, Western women, and would rather play Xbox and play with girls.
Men rather play Xbox instead of getting married, and mainstream media doesn't hold women accountable. Welcome to Management Highlights Daily. Today we are highlighting the Dr. Phil Show, and Professor Brad is going to talk about why people are marrying less these days.
Joining us virtually is the director of the National Marriage Project and professor of sociology at the University of Virginia, Brad Wilcox. Now, Brad is also the author of the upcoming book, Get Married: Why Americans Must Defy the Elites, Forge Strong Families, and Save Civilization, and has been studying marriage for over 20 years. Brad, thanks for taking time to talk to us today.
When you are red-pilled, you know there's a bigger picture. So the fact that his book mentions the elites might make it an interesting.
Oh shoots, I know Brad Wilcox. I think that's the guy that I used to have a pet monkey that bit my hand a number of years ago. I called him the AIDS monkey, and he bit my hand. But he got into an argument with a guy who I believe was Brad Wilcox, and it's unbelievable things, guy. I originally actually reached out. I had a researcher reach out to him that I had on the channel, and he reached out to Brad and asked Brad if he wanted to do an interview with me, and Brad was really pissed off, and he said no because he basically said my monkey bit his hand, and he was really upset about that. I think he's okay. I don't think he caught anything. But needless to say, the AIDS monkey, me and him, we're no longer in a relationship. And and again, I say AIDS, but clearly he's been taking the meds, and he's it's under control. So I these days I haven't seen much of him, but supposedly he looks as good as Magic Johnson. But anyway, let's jump into this.
Interesting read, because it is the elites that run this system. That's why it's not a coincidence that mainstream media is pushing feminism and wokeness, and why the laws are not going to change anytime soon. Follow the money, guys. There is a lot of money in broken homes. People are easier to control when they are divided, when they are weak, especially men. A lot of this shit is fabricated. Woo! We're dropping those red pill vitamins today. Now it's time for us to get into this and do what we gotta do, because we many.
We do know, in looking at certainly the young generation today, they're dating later in life. They're getting married less than previous generations. Why do you think that's true?
Well, I think we have this sort of idea out there today that marriage is about basically, a capstone, and you've got to get all your ducks in a row in terms of, your career, your relationship, and everything else. And so folks are kind of postponing marriage in many cases, postponing kind of the pursuit of marriage in many cases. I think also it's the case too that a lot of folks have very high expectations for a spouse, and so it's harder to find someone who kind of meet the bar for that in this cultural context. And the final thing that I would say.
Red flag alert.
Hold up, Professor Brad. Stop being politically correct. We all know it's women that have unrealistically high standards. Research confirmed this, Professor Brad. You know this because you studied this shit for 20 years. But I understand where Professor Brad is coming from. Because if he says it's women who have unrealistic expectations, he triggered these crybabies, immediately get misogynist status, and be canceled from the Dr. Phil show. We understand, Professor Brad.
In this cultural context. And the final thing that I would say is we're seeing more challenges with men. A lot of young men today are not working full time. They're not really kind of fully engaged in their relationships. They're spending too much time on the Xbox. And so there's a kind of a malaise among some young men that also I think is part and parcel of why we're seeing this dramatic retreat from marriage unfolding in American life today.
Now we're talking, Professor Brad. You see how he's walking on eggshells here, using the word malaise.
And guys, by the way, if you're enjoying these videos, I want to remind you, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, never miss another video again, and hit the like button to tell YouTube, hey, YouTube, I like Angry's videos, and I want to see more of them, all right? And guys, if you want to help me to have more energy, help me to be more energetic during these videos, I need Red Bull. And if you want to help me to get Red Bull, you can drop me some cash via PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo so that I have enough Red Bull to have enough energy to get my wings and to keep on dropping more knowledge. But let's jump right back to this right now.
But still, pointing the finger at men, not to upset these crybabies. This malaise is easily pinpointed. We all know what happens to the punani when men are broke. Women joining the workforce means they are now competing with men, which makes it harder for them to find financially eligible bachelors, in their opinion, because women date up. When Professor Brad says men are not fully engaged in a relationship playing Xbox, what relationship? What relationship? We just had research and articles showing that most young men are single and most women are not. And this article says exactly what Professor Brad needed to say on the show. Janice, read.
Heterosexual women are getting more choosy. Women don't want to marry down to form a long-term relationship to a man with less education and earnings than herself.
So here's the truth. If most women are not single, but most men are single, but then how is that possible? Well, some of the argument is that it means that women are dating older men. But while that's true, it wouldn't be, there's just not enough of them. So what is true? What is true is that that women are dating the same man. Multiple women are dating the same man, and that's what they don't want to admit. Multiple women are dating the same man, and they don't want to admit it.
Remember this clip we highlighted a while back?
If a guy says to like come over, like you already know like what this guy wants. Like, you know, he's not gonna make you dinner. He's not gonna make you, like, I don't know, anything nice. He's just gonna like have his way. I'm saying that men, if they're attractive and they can pull, then they have the option to. They so would.
Right.
But if they don't have the option to pull, they gotta be a nice guy and give a roses or some shit like that, right? Like if men can't get, they're gonna be nicer. But if they can, they're gonna be a dick and they're gonna call the bitches they want and not want to commit a relationship because they can. They do it because they can. It's not because I like the bad boys or whatever. I like nice guys, but like there's no attractive nice guys because all the attractive guys are dicks. Is what my point is.
These Chads and Tyrones playing Xbox can easily be avoided by these young girls, but they don't want to because they would rather Chad and Tyrone then get special treatment from the invisible.
Chad and Tyrone running those streets. Yes, they're running those streets. Chad and oh my gosh, guys, can you imagine? That these were once like slurs? These were like once slurs. Like Chad and Tyrone were once slurs, and now everyone uses them casually. Like it's like a unanimous thing. Chad and Tyrone, Chad and Tyrone, Chad and Tyrone.
Visible man. It's not that men don't want to be in a relationship. Janice, read.
According to the data, 49% of adults were looking for a committed romantic relationship or casual dates in 2019, but that number fell to 42% in 2022. Men, specifically, made up 61% of those looking for love in 2019, and by 2022, only half of men were seeking relationships. Women, however, only made up 38% of the 2019 figure, and in 2022, only 35% of women reported that they were looking to date or commit to a relationship.
Women rejecting most of the men out there, waiting for Leonardo DiCaprio to scoop them up. Men understand this foolishness and come to the conclusion that playing Xbox is more rewarding than trying to date these women. Can't say this shit on the Dr. Phil show. You have to say malaise.
And you say that it's really, the institution of marriage has really collapsed since the 70s. How much?
So the marriage rate's fallen by 60% since 1970. And this is, we're kind of in uncharted territory here with low marriage rates and low fertility rates as well here.
60% since the 70s?
Yes, that's correct. And we're projecting kind of going forward that a record share of young adults today, about 1/3, will never marry. Again, this is sort of record territory for the U.S.
And this will only get worse. Brace yourself. Only when something catastrophic.
These are statistics that are based on years of research of prior years. So that is none of this is set in stone. Based on the trends, things are only accelerating. So it will only get worse within our lifetime. So, for example, while they're projecting 1/3 will never get married, by the time we actually reach like our 50s and our 60s, in reality, it may end up showing that only what only it may end up showing that it was even much worse than that. You know, like half of all young people didn't get married, which will have a substantial impact on the economy, the society, everything. But right now we're at the point where a lot of people just don't men are just checking out, and of course men are going to be blamed for everything because men are the gatekeepers of society. But women, they have all the power in society right now. And that's why men are walking away from society and walking away from Western women, and they're taking their money with them and they're bringing it overseas, and that in and of itself is a great damage to society. Anyway, guys, listen, there's quite a bit more of this video left, but you guys don't deserve it. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put the link to this. I want to put a link to this video in the description of this video, and you can go and check that out. Check out the video on your own time, all right? And watch the full video on your own time. But otherwise, you can let me know what you think about this, about the fact that men would rather play Xbox instead of getting married, and the fact that mainstream media doesn't really give a shit about it. Men would rather play Xbox than get married, and the media won't blame women. What do you think about this? Where do you think things are headed? What do you think things are going to look like in like 2030? I mean, that's 7 years from now. What do you guys think about this? I mean, because like I said, 45% of women ages 25 to 44 will not be married, and will be childless. They'll be single and childless in 2030. 45%. That's based on current estimates right now. Almost half all women. What do you think about this, and where do you think things are headed? What do you think? How do you predict the future? You know what I think? I think that men are just going to keep walking away, going overseas, and getting themselves a wife. But what do you think is going to happen? I want to know in the comments. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and share.